Hi, I'm Jeff Neumeister. I am the founder and managing partner of Neumeister and Associates. We are a licensed CPA practice based out of Burbank and downtown Los Angeles. We handle all manner of CPA type services like tax compliance, bookkeeping, payroll, general accounting services. But we specialize in some more unique and complex areas like M&A advisory services, business valuations, due diligence, cryptocurrency, CFO outsourcing, and forensic accounting. In fact, most of my professional career has been in the forensic accounting space. For those not privy to what that is, it's essentially investigative accounting, what is often connoted as things like CSI. But instead of bodies and blood, it's documents and numbers. A lot of forensic accounting involves uncovering frauds and other embezzlement type schemes. For example, I had a case a number of years ago involving two partners of a spa. One partner pushed out her other partner, the other, through removing them from access to the point of sale system, the books and records, and manipulated financial data. And another matter where a franchise company, they had, I think, about 100 plus locations, and the founder of the business hired somebody that eventually rose in the ranks and became his CEO, his heir apparent. And this founder put so much trust in this particular individual, only to find out later on this CEO engaged in a lot of self-dealings, essentially creating contracts where they're both the benefactor and the signer on both parties, for both parties, both the company and himself. He's essentially giving himself additional stock into the company to the point in which he claimed he owned the business through selling the stock to himself on behalf of the company. He wasn't the founder, right? But he was doing it on behalf of the company. And another matter a year or so ago where a bookkeeper for a real estate complex gave herself significant checks, beyond just what her normal pay was. She gave herself, her normal hourly pay, but then also sprinkle in some 5-figure checks here and there. Often round amounts, 10,000, 15,000 and whatnot. And one thing all these events have in common is that they're not infrequent. Despite what we see in newspapers or hear about in the news of a fraud, the Madoffs of the world and other schemes out there, they're actually much more prevalent than most people realize. And when I work with business owners that are undergoing something like this, they uncovered, oftentimes through our efforts, a fraud, and we're digging and finding that's actually a lot more severe than they initially anticipated. They're shocked, right? These are people that they trusted. Sometimes they're close business associates, sometimes they're childhood friends, sometimes they're even loved ones, cousins, siblings, spouses, children. It doesn't really matter who, but they realize that they are surprised, right? Because they trusted this individual or these individuals. And they ask occasionally after the fact, how could they avoid this again? Whether it's in their current business or in a subsequent venture, what can they do to avoid this kind of uncertainty, like not knowing who to trust? The reality is that you never know what's going to happen. It's hard to anticipate, not impossible to anticipate all the things that could go wrong, all the frauds that could happen, all the things you could be a victim of as it relates to embezzlement and other forms of white-collar crime. But we can plan for it. We can mitigate the risk associated with being a victim of those kind of things through the likes of, in the accounting speak, internal controls. mechanisms in place to help prevent or at least detect shady activity, right? Fraudulent transfers, unauthorized expenditures, what have you. And it's not to say you can't trust the individuals you're in business with, especially for small business owners, just starting out, but it's a good practice to verify. Like, that's something we often say in the accounting world is you trust, you can absolutely trust, but verify. It doesn't mean that there's a lack of trust. It's just a best business practice. Now, this isn't relegated to just running a business, planning for uncertainty. The same concepts arise in our personal lives, in our academic lives. As a professor, as well as running my CPA practice, I'll often encourage students to plan for the unforeseen. Think of it as anti-procrastination, right? Have a paper that's due in 4 weeks. The tendency is to wait until 3.5 weeks to start it. What if there's a flat tire? What if there's a family medical emergency, right? Again, it's hard to say you plan for a specific thing, right? There's a lot of uncertainty out there. You can include some sort of buffer so that if something does happen, it doesn't throw everything else awry, right? So for that paper that's due in 4 weeks, maybe start on it now, right? And I encourage my students to kind of plan for those uncertainties. Just like I encourage my business owner clients, especially new business owners, the new entrepreneurs, right? They're not serial yet, they're just getting into it, to plan for these things, to leverage best practices, because best practices are best practices for a reason. They tend to work. Yeah. It doesn't mitigate or remove all the exposure to the uncertainties out there like fraud, but it can limit their impact and limit their likelihood of occurring to begin with. Okay. Enjoy speaking on these kind of subjects. And if you're ever in the neck of the woods of Woodbury University, feel free to reach out to me or look me up. Jeff Neumeister, CPA of Neumeister and Associates. Thank you.